Did you know that the likely creator of the world of the amazing digital circus is one of the current residents of the tent? We investigated and discovered many signs that point to something completely insane. One of the 6 residents of the tent, Kinger, Regatta, Jax, Gangle, Zubul, and the newcomer Pomni, would actually be the person who controls absolutely everything in the world of the digital circus. And this person is also responsible for everything that happens to everyone who ends up in that place. And furthermore, Jax knows everything, but he doesn't tell anyone. But why does he do that? We also found out, and that's why we decided to tell you now. Today, we're going to bring you not 1, but 3 sinister theories involving the amazing digital circus and all the darkness that takes place in that bizarre place. And believe me, they will connect dots you have no idea about regarding everything that involves that place, capable of driving anyone insane. Oh, and one more detail. These theories can be treated independently, or they might be interconnected, and all of them could be real. Let's start by talking about theory that Jax knows more than everyone. Jax is that typical bad guy that somehow everyone sympathizes with. Perhaps it's because of that psychotic smile on his face, as if it were a mandatory characteristic for him to always be smiling, almost like a curse. And yes, Jax is bad. It becomes clear at various moments during the episodes of the amazing digital circus, like when he pushes Gangle just before going up the escalator, or when he heartlessly leaves Regatta and Pomni behind when he sees Kaufmo going insane, not caring about what would happen to them. But these are not by far the worst deeds committed by Jax, because we found out that Jax actually knows exactly how to leave the amazing digital circus. And more than that, he actually does everything to ensure that no one ever gets out of there. Feeling confused? Don't worry, we'll connect all the dots for you. When Pomni arrives at the digital circus, Jax asks Kane if Pomni is an NPC or some new sucker, as he considers everyone there as suckers, except himself, of course. NPC, in case you don't know, stands for non-playable characters in games, like those dolls at the same restaurant as Kane and Bola. Basically, they are digital extras, which means he has seen countless people come and go from that place. Another point is that Jax doesn't care if someone dies within the digital circus. He made that clear when he scoffed at the moment when Zubul supposedly died after being devoured by the Queen of Gloinks. This could mean only 2 things. Either he's a kind of insensitive sadist, or he knows that when someone, in quotes, dies in that place, they don't actually die. This is connected to the 3rd theory we'll tell you about later in this same video. Stick around and you'll understand it all. If the second alternative is true, it raises the hypothesis that explains Jax's behavior. He might actually be the creator of that place, or, who knows, the person who inherited the responsibility to ensure that no one escapes from that world. In this case, he can come and go from the digital circus whenever he wants, when no one is looking. This justifies the fact that Jax has access to all the keys, allowing him to open digital doors. And why would one of the participants have access to all the keys in all the places? In fact, this character would be part of the system, a kind of digital engineer who opens and closes paths. This way, Jax has access to all the places, but he still doesn't control everything within the system, only preventing people from leaving, but not from entering. This becomes clear when Jax asks Kane if Pomni is an NPC or a new resident of the tent. It means that his power of action and information is limited. After all, he doesn't control who arrives there. And everything indicates that Kane doesn't either, since he is also surprised by Pomni's arrival. So, someone or some organization is responsible for this. Or perhaps random people accidentally discover a digital path in a specific game or program and end up there. The fact is that for some reason, Jax induces everyone there to harm themselves, or perhaps to go insane, so that one way or another they become trapped there forever. Almost as if he were a jailer and that place were a prison, where people who committed wrongdoings are sent to be tested to their limits. For this reason, as soon as Pomni arrives, Jax asks Kane what adventure he has prepared for that day, as it would be the form of punishment Pomni would have to endure. And at that moment, the question arises, what does someone have to do to end up in that place? Thinking about that, the second theory emerged. Pomni is someone bad and could be a villain. It's more than obvious that the amazing digital circus is far from being a place where people go to have fun and be happy. On the contrary, that place is much more like a location for punishment and testing the limits of sanity and reason. For example, Kinger is on the verge of madness, and Kaufmo himself completely lost his sanity after spending a long time there, probably for years. Yes, years! At least that's what Jack said, that they all had been there for years and that escaping was impossible. And there's one detail, have you ever stopped to think about what happened to the bodies of those people after their consciousness had been in that place for years on end? Perhaps they no longer exist, and only their minds still exist within that system, prolonging their suffering even more. But why are they all there? Someone might think it's a coincidence for so many mentally unstable people to be in the same place at the same time. But the truth is, for this to happen, it would have to be a huge coincidence. So, it's probably not just a fluke. Those people must have something in common that we haven't fully understood yet, but we can imagine what it might be. If the previous theory about Jax is correct, and there's a strong chance it is, there will always be someone among the characters to prevent the others from escaping and to ensure they are punished through, in quotes, adventures. This suggests that they might have committed some kind of crime to be condemned to spend their lives and lose their sanity in the amazing digital circus. And Pomni would be there, just like everyone else, to pay for her mistakes. This indicates that there's a possibility that each of those people there has some involvement in some heinous and cruel crime. An indication of this could be the fact that the circus host is named Cain. Cain, according to biblical tradition, was the first human to commit murder out of pure envy and jealousy. In this case, Pomni, and not just her, would be there for crimes related to greed, envy, or even, who knows, murder, which were the reasons that led the biblical Cain to commit the first homicide. The truth is that Pomni is not a good person, as we can see when she simply leaves Regatta behind when Kaufmo is beating and almost tearing apart the digital ragdoll. Moreover, when she finds what she believes to be the exit, she simply goes in and doesn't try to call anyone to go with her, making it clear in both situations that she is extremely selfish and doesn't care about others. People with this profile are capable of doing anything to save themselves, including committing the most heinous acts such as murder, and if this is proven, it would show that Pomni is really a villain in the context of the amazing digital circus. Of course, it wouldn't be just her, since everyone there may have committed the same terrible acts as her, or even worse. That's why getting out of the world where the amazing digital circus is located won't happen easily. I mean, it might be possible, according to another theory that says Kaufmo discovered a way to escape from the amazing digital circus. When Jax, Pomni, and Regatta see inside Kaufmo's room, they discover two things. First, that Kaufmo has turned into a gigantic being full of colorful eyes and with an undefined form that seems to be composed of shadows. The other thing the girls notice, because it seems that Jax wasn't surprised by anything he saw, is that Kaufmo at some point was very obsessed with finding a way to get out of that place and finally be free. And upon discovering this, the system somehow, probably at the hands of Cain, transformed Kaufmo into what we saw. And if this theory is correct, the way to free the characters trapped in that circus-like prison would be to destroy their digital forms that are there. This would perfectly align with the first theory when we see that Jax doesn't care if someone could die during an adventure in the digital circus. That's why Kaufmo tried to destroy Regatta, and he went after Pomni and all the others because he had discovered that by doing so, their minds would be free and could return to their original place, which would be their bodies, if they still existed. Another indication of this is that when we see the world from Kaufmo's perspective after he had transformed into a monster, we can see that there's much more light in his gaze, as if he could see through the constructs that were used to form the structure of the place. And when he saw any of the characters, they had less light around them, making them easier to detect and thus liberate, in quotes, by Kaufmo when he destroyed them, just as he almost did with Regatta, which honestly would be a very sinister way to free someone from a prison, but it could be the last resort from the perspective of someone who had gone completely mad and insane. Poor Kaufmo. We'll never know if he was right and if he went mad for nothing. These were the sinister theories that could make perfect sense in the context of the amazing digital circus. To keep you entertained, we've selected 2 videos that are appearing for you. You can choose one of them, click, and have some fun!